Hello, hello. How we doing tonight, guys? Hopefully all is well. Hopefully you guys all had an amazing trading day. Knowing the price action from today, it's probably not the fact. We're going to be honest here. Can you guys hear me all right? Can you guys see my screen? Give me a little sign. Give me a little, 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 give me a little. Not seeing any of you guys type. Good. All right. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Justin. Thank you. Pretty straightforward day from a higher time frame perspective. We could see from Wednesday's close, and whenever I'm referring to a daily candle, I'm always referring to it after the close, and we see the entire candle. What do we see? We took out previous day high, pretty bullish candle in this case. We took out this level, and then retraced and closed within it. What does that mean? Price is exhausted. We just had a big run to the upside, so now we're ready for retracement. Now, are we going to have a retracement all the way down to our first discount? Well, we could. Very well could. But in the meantime, what am I going to refer to? We're trading at all-time highs. I'm bullish until proven otherwise. I'm going to refer to the nearest inefficiency. So just a retracement to this fair value gap was the first objective. So I'm going to mark it out as such. But we'll notice that this is actually not the trade that I personally would have taken on this specific day. Well, I did not take any shorts, unfortunately. But afterwards, we could look for a long. Why is that? Why can we look for a long as soon as we hit this? Because we're bullish. We're following the trend. We're trading at all-time highs. So you do not necessarily expect a deep retracement as we discuss to our first discount and efficiency. Go to a 15-minute chart here, and we'll go in replay mode. This is our higher time frame fair value gap, right? I was looking for long today because I saw the news as manipulation. Yet this is what we're about to discuss, right? Because when I opened my charts, and I actually opened them before 8:30, so all I saw was accumulation, right? There is no way that in this range I can justify any type of manipulation. Now, some people might tell you, okay, well, look, right here, where are my levels? These levels, you took these out, and now you can say, hey, because of this could be low of day, right? This could be your daily manipulation. I disagree. This is not something I would ever consider. This to me is just a continuation of the consolidation from the end of yesterday. So what do I expect with this news? I need to see manipulation. We see a clear move lower, a big move, but that doesn't matter, right? We don't care for the size at all. A big move lower from the news, manipulating into our daily fair value gap, right? This is what we're looking at right here. And let me just make it clean. This is OCD killing me. Into our daily fair value gap. So this for me is all the downside we could see, and then I could look for a long. Now what happened afterwards is pure consolidation, right? How can we predict days like these? I mean, there are a bunch of ways, right? Just a high resistance retracement that just exploded like this after a large move. You expect the next move to be high resistance. Sure. Truth is, I would trade this any day of the week, right? It's just I will take that first long, and then I will not look for a following trade. So that's what we're going to look at. As we said, accumulation right up until this point. Then we had our news manipulation, and then we're just waiting for 9:30, to look for a trade. In this case, the indicator does not find any breaker blocks. Now, why is that? It's very simple, because the range look back is small. In this case, I did trade this breaker block. Now, why does my indicator settings not work here? Because in consolidation, I only want to refer to recent ranges. But on a day like today, these are the types of days where I'll go up all the way to 7, and then now you'll see this breaker block showcases this one as well, right here. If I remove this, you'll see it. If you want to see a little bit less, you can also go down to 5. 5 is also a very good number that I like, but as you can see, it showcases a lot of them. So I'm going to keep it perhaps at 4, just so we can see the breaker that I used as a setup. Maybe this range will disappear. Yes, awesome. So see, for today, 4 looks beautiful, but I like to stick to 3 when I'm trading. And then whenever I see a lot of consolidation like this and I want to see the breakers, then I'll go up a little bit. In this case, disregard any bearish breakers here. Why? Because you have an entry right at 9:30. If you guys remember, I don't like entering at 9:30. I like to wait for the 9:30 candle to move, and then I'll enter if I like what I see on the 9:31 candle, 9:32 candle. So in this case, I actually entered during the 9:31 candle. I was a little over once we flipped this opening price pretty much. So I'm going to be pessimistic and just use the close just so I can provide you guys with a realistic outcome. But in this case, I'm treating this entry just like if it was this entry. So the 3PD array start here. You have inversion, fair value gap here. You have another small inversion here, and you have the fair value gap. So anyways, your stop should be at this low. And it looks like a breakout trade because it pretty much is, right? I don't like entering on the 930 manipulation or just the incoming volatility. There's a lot of spread here on most days. So just wait for the next candle, then wait for my confirmation, which is just creation of the order block, and then you have a very beautiful trade. And for me, my first objective, as you can see, you'll see these opening prices, right? The daily open and the midnight open. This was a very conservative objective. All I wanted to do was get money out of this trade, right? Whenever it's high resistance like this is not the best conditions in which I need to trade. But I still want to be trading. I still want to keep following my model and not allowing variance to fuck me. What does that mean? Taking a lot of trades. So if a setup presents itself, I want to be in that trade. But I also want to be conservative. So right here, you'll see to midnight open, 1.88 using the close. I had a little bit of a better risk to reward because I entered in the middle of this candle, top quarter of this candle. But we'll be pessimistic, as I said. So a very nice partial right here. Now, this is where I got greedy. I did not even take profit here, and I should have. So truth is, you're partial at the opening prices, right? At midnight open right here. Let me mark it out. Not much precision. I don't need it. It is only for review's sake, right? So a partial at midnight open here, and then a take profit at data highs right here, right? This little green line right here is the high formed from the 830 news. So this is an important point in liquidity. And if you look, it is also the current high of day on both assets, right? Well, on ES, it's a little earlier, but on both assets, these clusters are current high of day. So just from this, and also it's important to notice that as soon as that got taken out, there was SMT present in this area. So this is just a very clear take profit area. I'm beating myself up right now. That's actually what I'm doing because I did not take profit and I managed to get all the way down here, which was about just a little better than break even, right? So my second position. But truth is, it should have been partial. Full take profit is how I would have wished I managed that trade. Why? Because it's high resistance. As I just explained, these are not the prime conditions where my model, what is the word for it? Just performs in the best, right? These are not prime conditions. So being able to have a partial and then a good take profit to take 3R home, well, realize probably closer to 2.1, 2.2, I'm very happy with this, right? I don't require anything more. And truth is, if I would have managed my trade like that, I could have also taken the short retracement opportunity that would have succeeded as well. So that is how I wish I managed my trade today. But all I did was take a partial here and then get stopped out barely in profit just at this line, just a little above. I was allowing it to sweep these lows into this fair value gap, but not trade past the fair value gap. So me sharing my mistakes, yes, I'm human. I still do make mistakes. I journaled it. This is something I do not want to repeat. I think I've said it to you guys, but a little tired doing a lot of IRL work. Did a lot of construction these last 3 weeks. So a little off my game here. I'm noticing that I'm making more mistakes, especially in management, because I'm trying to get out quick. Yeah, Justin, I'm helping family business. Construction is a big word for it. I basically shoveled rock and we installed a synthetic soccer area. I'm forgetting what's the word for it. But yeah, that's what I do. So I'm working basically 18-hour days because Rise and Rise Statistics and my own trading has to keep going. So I'm pretty tired. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but I'm almost done. I got 2 weeks left that they need my help, or probably more so a week and a half, a week, and then I'm gonna get my strength back. But yes, sorry about that little ranting. Thanks for keeping those PA reviews. My pleasure, bro. I need them for me too, right? They're what keep me accountable, and they're what keep me progressing as a trader. Usually you like to trade in the direction of CPI. Is that true for PPI as well? No, but PMI, yes. And I know that's might confuse you, but PMI, I noticed that it oftentimes also traded in the direction of CPI. But truth is, that was more so 2023, 2024. I've noticed that late 2024 and what we've seen up till now, the news have been acting a little differently with Trump in power. And it surprised me a lot. But when I actually looked at the data using Rice Statistics, right, we have an economic news analysis. I noticed that those news were actually less volatile and more prone to reversals. So just overall, CPI is always going to be good. But the other ones, they're always going to be a little bit trickier. It's easier to just treat them as any sort of news. Definitely. Just to get back on track, as I said, if you would have managed this trade correctly, at least myself, I wanted to be fully out here, which would have allowed for the possibility of this short retracement. And if we look, we have an inversion fair value gap, and the fair value gap above. So as you can see, even just to these relative equal lows, which are what I would call an obvious target, gives you 2.56R. So you would have had a very nice opportunity to go short. If your bias was short since the start, you would have had one trade here. When I see something like this, I wish it would have been break even, but let's just call this a loss and then a win. So even if your bias was short, you would have had a loss and then saw, okay, well, is my short idea still good here? Yes. So now I can take this short and then it wins. So you would have made 1.56R on the day if we take into account the potential loss that you would have taken here. Still very successful. That's only the AM session. I was not sure if I wanted to discuss this with you guys, but if we bring lunch here, you'll notice the noon to 1 range. Why is that? In multiple conditions, right, we've speaking quite at length about when we use the noon to 1:30 and when we use the noon to 1 range. But in this case, it's because the morning consolidated. It's a search and destroy profile, right? We went down, we went up, we went back down, we went back up. This means that I will use the noon to 1 range. And in this case, we did have a lunch trade telling us to go short. And so if I just bring my indicator into bearish mode, so I don't see all of these bullish setups, let me bring that down to 3 here, which is my preferred settings. We'll notice the first available entry here off of this inversion fair value gap. There's really nothing before. No, this retraced into the IFVG above. See, little bugs here and there. Oh, no, it did not retrace into the IFVG above. Look at me blaming my indicator, and it's still working. It's just proving me wrong. But here, do you have an inversion? Well, inversion fair value gap. Fair value gap is not yet there. So your stop would be actually up here. So this would have been a loss, really? Inversion fair value gap, order block, fair value gap. Yep. This would have been a loss. Damn, I did not expect that. Followed by a win, of course, right? A loss directly linked into the following trade, which is a beautiful win with a very nice stop, right? You have inversion fair value gap, and actually, this is not an inversion fair value gap. So a very ugly stop. Still, you would have been looking to target lunch lows and those relative equal lows that are related to it, right, from that 11 a.m. swing. And that would have been plenty of risk to reward. Now, of course, here, if you would have looked to take a partial, then you would have gotten partial break even. This is why I was not sure if I was going to take it. What are you looking? Really, I took it like this. What are you entering based on? On the IFVG we were just discussing? You might be, are you looking at different NASDAQ than I am? No, you are not. Well, technically, yeah, this is closing below this. But this is not yet a breaker. That's the thing for me. Of course, you can anticipate breakers. I've spoken of this before, right? Here we induce this low, so I don't need to wait for it to become a breaker before taking the trade, because I anticipate that it will create the breaker since it induced those lows, creating relative equal lows, right, between these two right here. So I think that is a beautiful entry, Magic. By the way, for those of you guys that are watching on YouTube, he's talking about entering here before the breaker block. So the breaker block was formed once we traded below this, as we can see from the little triangle signals that I love. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm lazy. I didn't trade this, but I'm lazy in the sense that now that I have an indicator that does it for me, I don't want to think anymore. So I just don't. I just take the setups that the indicator shows me, and shit, I'm making money. So who am I to complain? And that's pure laziness. I'm not going to hide behind anything, right? It's not worse. That's the thing, Magic. I actually did study this quite a bit. The reason why I don't go so much in details about breakers anymore is because, as I said, now that I have an indicator like this, I don't need to focus on breakers so much. I can focus on taking good frameworks, so with clear objectives in good market conditions, and focusing on my trade management. This is just where I am as a trader, and these PA reviews, right, these videos, these calls are a reflection of what I'm working on. Like today, I had a great trade, but I mismanaged it. And if I managed it correctly, I could have made a lot more, right? It could have been pretty much a 4 or 5 hour day, but instead it's like a 0.9 or like 1.1, something in that range hour day. All that due to a small mistake, you know? So I have to be careful. I don't know if you guys get what I'm saying, but these PA reviews are definitely a reflection of me as a trader, right? And me as a trader right now, I don't really focus on breaker blocks. Overall, though, when we induced the low of the breaker block without making it, I do consider it a breaker block then. I would definitely take trades before then. After first long, you don't even need to trade anymore. Yes, sir. You know, if you manage this correctly, it's one and done and you're out, right? Honestly, it liberates you as a trader. Let me tell you. As soon as I switched to that mentality of being one and done, I started making less money. That is true. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, because people would tell you, oh, no, I swear, buy my course, you'll make more. No, you're going to make less money. Why? Because you're not pushing your edge to its absolute limit. Especially with a model like this that is consistent like this, then in that case, you need to push it if you want to make the most amount of money. But I don't want that. I want consistent income. That's what I'm looking for. So if I can be one and done, and okay, I'm making 15 R less per month. So what? I'm still making thousands and thousands of dollars. I am still in the top 0.1% of my age range and like top 5% earners in the country, and I'm 21. Do you really need more? I mean, greed is a sin, guys. There's a difference between greeding for a trade, which is already a mistake, and greeding for everything, you know? At least that's my personal opinion. This is not advice as a trader. This is just how I like to trade and my personal goals and how I align my trading to follow these goals. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys, and you can find value in some of the rants I give. I know I did. I loved when ICT used to make rants that made sense. I really enjoy them. Before we call it a night here, do we have any final questions? Magic requested to speak. Was that a misclick or you want to get up here? You're welcome to get up here. Emails. Yes, sir. What's up, Magic? Emails. 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 Practice. Yeah, I don't use any specific tool. What I always go about is, you might notice that my stop losses mainly range between 15 and 30 handles. Like, you'll notice that if you trade the Rise model for a while, right? And sometimes it'll go a little bit above. And my mental trick, because I do it in my head, that's the truth, But my mental trick is I look for 10 handles. So for example, if I'm trading minis, I know that 10 handles is worth $200, right? So if I'm looking to risk $1,000 and I have a 25 handle stop, then I know that if I'm placing one contract, that is worth $450. So I know I need to place two. Like it's mental logic for me. And it is long, it is painful. It took me a while to get down, but that would be the trick I would give you. Think in terms of 10 or 5 handles, and then you get quick at that mental math. There's probably a better way out there, but that's how I've done it. I've always been a little quicker on the mental math side, but yeah, I see the setup, and you don't have a lot of time, right? I want to click, and then I see, okay, I know my stop is here, 3 PD arrays, 32 points. I know that's worth $600. So if I'm risking $1,000, I'll buy 2, pretty much. I always look to risk around my wanted risk. If I'm trading on micros, then I can be more precise. And I do the same trick, by the way, right? If I'm on micros here and I see 32, I know that 10 handles is worth $20, right? On one contract. Okay, so I'm risking, what is that, 32? So I'm risking 60 or so dollars, $64. So now I want to risk 250. I'm going to put 4 contracts. I'm going to be risking that 240 range. You get what I'm saying? Emails, 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 emails. And I'm looking at what Alex just said. I do, for example, a 20 handle stop loss. If I'm trying to risk $400, because I'm not going to use that word you used, Alex, betting. Wow. If I'm trying to risk $400, you do 20 times 2 equals 40, and then 40 times 10 equals 400. Yeah, I mean, that works too. The truth is, get a mental trick that works for you, that you can count quick, is the only thing I can recommend, because that's how I personally did it. There are some indicators and some tools, but I feel like that's slower. Like the time that it takes me to place my entry and my stop, I don't know. Maybe that's something I could add to the indicator, actually, where you could say, what if I enter on this unicorn and I count a 3 PD array stop loss rule, then what is your risk? And you could input how much money you want to risk. Yeah, maybe one day. But sorry, I don't have a more valuable answer for you, Magic. Yeah. Emails. Awesome. I always feel welcome to, right? If you don't feel like typing, I'm always happy to bring you guys up here, right? Emails. Awesome. Do you guys have any final questions? That would be a sweet ad. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to add it to the list, Peacock. Pretty busy next few weeks. I'm not going to lie to you guys. But it is going to be up there, definitely. I do keep a lot of notes so I don't forget things like these. But it'd be pretty cool to have it almost fully automated, right? But on that note, we're going to call it here, guys. You guys have a great rest of your night. I'm going to be trading tomorrow, and we'll have another PA review tomorrow, since we have a high-impact news event, right? What is it? I always forget what the specifics of it are. We're seeing core retail sales, and consumer sentiment, inflation expectations from the University of Michigan. All right, it's going to be pretty chill. So we'll have a PA review tomorrow night. You guys have a great rest of your night. Good luck once again. Bye, guys.